Hi there everyone, Lars from Camille's Harem, back with another writer's rant for the month of Valentine's. And my rant is this: if you as an author are going to put a romance into your story, then freaking commit to it! Yes, please commit to the romance if you are going to bother putting it there into your story. That means, as I've said multiple times before on this channel, romance is about time, is about the dedication, the work that you put into it to make it happen. Romance isn't just this thing that grows off of trees and you say, ooh, isn't this so amazing? No, that's what stuff like power fantasies and romantasy would like you to believe, but no, those kinds of romances are absolutely not fulfilling. In fact, they are so entirely forgettable and laughable, and I hate to see any of you fellow novice authors doing such a horrible thing. Let's have a little bit of real talk, and I do mean it. So, when you're reading a story and you come across a romantic option, one that the author very clearly has teased but never fully develops, that's pretty underwhelming. It's pretty frustrating, isn't it? It's also a little silly, isn't it, when you start reading a story and you realize, oh, I am supposed to project myself onto the protagonist. Here is all of my love interests, from the sexy shadow daddies to the voluptuous gals who are just throwing themselves all over me. And then you come to realize, wait a second, these are all fictional characters, and there's no way I'm this lucky in real life, nor do these characters actually exist. Oh. And then there are those times where you're reading a story and you actually get into these well-crafted characters. You're like, ooh, this is actually really cool. And then you realize that the author is trying to get two characters together. And you're like, wait. The chemistry just isn't there. I mean, it could be interesting for these two characters to get together, but you kind of have to work it out a little bit. X and Y don't necessarily equal Z in this particular situation. And then, boom, they've been smooshed together. Time for the mattress mumbo. And you're like, okay then, well, I know some people appreciate the smut. I mean, there's an entire section dedicated to it in every single bookstore, but you know what you're getting into with that. Those are usually cheap, funny stories that are meant to hit certain nerves. But I was reading this for the plot. No, really! Instances like these leave the reader just feeling, honestly, confused, dejected, or very depressed about themselves. Which there are some authors out there who are striving to make their audiences feel that way. But during the month of love, the month of Valentine's, no. Let's actually focus on good, healthy, positive romances, because you know what? We kind of need a little bit more of them in fiction. I can find awful smut and horrible romances galore. In fact, that's right now all the rage in the publishing industry. And yet, really, that leaves me and so many other people feeling unfulfilled. And after a while, consuming all of that garbage, well, it leaves you feeling even just more desperate for something else. Well, we have something very fulfilling with a well-written romance. And whatever that romance be, you can have all different kinds of varieties of different people getting together, exploring their relationships, exploring their personalities, and the context has brought them together. There's just such a wonderful mosaic of different possibilities for love that makes me wonder, why don't we bother taking the time to sculpt, I haven't used that term in a while, sculpt a good romance. Now, for those of you who might be out of the loop, like, wait a second, Lars has not used this term in a while. What does he mean by sculpting? There's a difference between shipping couples and sculpting couples. Shipping couples is when you realize, wow, these characters would be really cute together. Let me just smoosh them together and come up with justifications for it. Sculpting a couple, on the other hand, is like carving a beautiful statue. In this case, a statue of two people, molding them out of the wet clay. It takes a lot of work, and that is what it takes to make a good romance. You need to take time, care. You're going to make some mistakes along the way. You got to smooth them on out, and that's something that people actually do want to see. They want to see characters fall in love, make mistakes, communicate, overcome those issues within their relationship, strive to really make it work and be a great pair, and also as individuals grow as a result of this romance. But again, this takes time. And if you're not willing to dedicate the time to that romance, to this pairing, then honestly, why are you bothering with it? Some months back, I was asked to do a video about all of the different romantic pairings and issues within My Hero Academia, specifically looking at the war amongst the fans about should Deku be with Bakugo, or should Deku be with Ochako, or should Ochako be with Bakugo? Like, what should it be? Oh, the horrible love triangle. And me, as someone who has enjoyed My Hero Academia since I first started reading and watching it, reading it up all the way to the very last chapter, I have to say this. I don't actually really care too much. And this comes from someone who made a video about how I think that Kirishima and Mina are absolutely amazing together. Yeah! And while there's no canon evidence that those two ever got together, I'm actually okay with that. The reason being is because My Hero Academia already had so much to work through. You had to get Deku to become the world's #1 hero. You had to uncover the secrets of One for All. You had to show the best and brightest of a world of superheroes with superpowers, but then also show its absolute worst. Show the contrast between the two. The facade that was created in the wake of All Might, exploring the past, exploring all these different machinations, the influence of superheroes, not just in Japan, but worldwide. Explore, what does it really mean to be a hero? What does it mean to be a villain? The really sticky topic of redemption, and redemption for both heroes and villains. And Horikoshi was very smart to spend lots of time on these particular topics and explore them from the perspectives of different characters. And in many cases, such as with Endeavor, leave the doors open for discussion. The thing is this, is that in order to tackle all of these different elements and do it on a satisfactory level, while still delivering amazing battles with character progression leading up to the grand finale, there's no time for romance and all of that unless Horikoshi was willing to make the time for it. Now, this is where we can say, Horikoshi, naughty you. You should have, since you introduced the crushes that some characters had on each other, you should have teased this out more. You should have developed it more. Really, take 10 to 20 extra chapters just for dealing with Izuku, with Bakugo, and with Ochako, and then maybe it would have worked out just absolutely fine. But again, that is time that you need to then take away to pause the flow and the action, the suspense and the revelations and everything. It can be done, but given the constraints that are upon any mangaka to constantly be cranking out work, well, you're not going to then get good quality romance when there's so much else left to do. There is some blame then that you can kind of heap upon Horikoshi and say, look, if you were never really going to be able to do much with the romance anyway, the romance aspect of all of these teens together, then really don't focus on that. Let the fans just ship what they want to ship and instead leave that entirely off to the side and instead focus on the action, which he definitely did for the latter part of his series, and I think that My Hero Academia was honestly better off for it. And when I was writing one of my own books, The Monarch Mercenaries, Autonomy, I did not want to have romance be a part of this book at all. And it allowed the action and the philosophy, the character development to actually flow way better. Some stories don't need romance to be good. Yeah, there are some characters in there that are a little bit flirty. There is a romantic couple within the story, but they are never a focus. It is something that I can very easily just describe in one paragraph and then move on because it's not central to the plot or to the main characters. So that is something that could have been done with My Hero Academia and just let the fans ship what they want to ship. And again, because I know what My Hero Academia was mostly about, I don't have to worry about who gets together with whom. Yeah, sure, it's fun and everything, and for some of the people who really were all on the Deku and Uraraka ship, then hurrah, you guys got what you want at the very end, or at least a good nod to it. But really, it's not what honestly mattered. If you want to make it matter within the story, you need to give it time. Another thing that I see way too often is people just rushing to get to the romance, rushing to get to the good steamy bits. And no, that is not okay either, because again, that's just shipping a couple or shipping a group of people together, not actually sculpting a good romance. And if you're not putting in the effort to make it good, actually spending time with these characters, spending time to let us get to know them individually, then together as a group, getting to see them as a couple overcome certain obstacles, communicate, miscommunicate, and then get back together, fix things. Man, that's really what people want to see. That shows us that this relationship is wholesome and worth it, and not just simply, don't you just love that spicy chemistry? Now let's move on to the bedroom. Seriously, I have had enough of that. However, writing romances is tricky. Sure, there's all different kinds of formulas, all different kinds of checklists and plans and strategies that certain authors will say, this will guarantee that things will work out perfectly. The answer is that for every couple that you wish to write in every story, things are going to be different. You can't just simply replicate a formula and hope that it's going to work. We aren't making Kraft macaroni and cheese here. Nope. We are trying to write romance, and romance is one of the trickiest things in real life or in fiction to actually pull off. And so, throughout this month of Valentine's, we will be addressing some of those interesting examples, different techniques that you might want to use in order to write your own romances, but just remember this, it takes time. And if you want to have a romance in your story, you need to commit. You need to give them the proper amount of time necessary to be developed not only as individual characters, but as a couple. Show us how they fall in love. Even if it's love at first sight, you still need to show us why they work, why that love at first sight is justified. Just simply throwing them together and saying, hey, it's all going to work out, trust me, bro, is not enough. Whew, okay, I got that off my chest. I'm calming down a little bit. If you would like to see an example of how I have written at least one romance, then please check out my book, Notice Me, Send Pie. This lovable little quick rom-com is about a sweaty girl who wants to impress the cool guy in her home economics class. But how is she going to do it? Oh, she's such a nerd. There's no way that she can connect with him. Well, a great way to a man's heart is through his stomach, and what better way than with a pie? So please check out this book. Link for it is in the description below. And throughout this month of Valentine's, we are going to provide numerous videos looking at different examples of romances, various techniques, tips, and the likes that we hope will help you out. But just remember this. Each romance is going to be unique and different, but the one universal truth to it is that if you want it to be strong, you need to dedicate time to it. Sculpt that relationship. Don't just ship the characters. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next video, and until then, tschüss.